off with our time.
And so this was a pretty exciting moment in time because I was participating in an illegal urban bicycle race while I had two 40-ounce beers duct taped to my hands to make it fair for everybody else that I was racing against. And at the after party, I may or may not have been standing next to my bike in sort of a rainbow hibiscus pattern unitard with a Pabst Blue Ribbon in my hand and my nipple hanging out. And a photograph was taken. Now, do I personally have a copy of that photograph? Only sort of. You guys remember the people of Walmart, right? That silly website that made fun of the monsters that people photographed at Walmart. There was a spin-off of that website called Look at This Effing Hipster. And while I never made it onto their website, that photo of me is definitely in the book that they published. So yes, that's the story of my celebrity nipple.
TJ, we went live.
Seriously?
And I feel like I've heard that story before. But welcome you guys to episode 132 of Sawdust Talk. We're joined tonight with our friends Luke and Priscilla of PL Smith. I am Jessie of Building Jessie, and my co-host here is TJ of TJT Workshop. TJ is going to run through our sponsors, and then we'll get to the show.
All right, quick shout out to Layla over at Casey Bombshell Designs, soon to be the official hosting place of Sawdust Talk merchandise, and one badass scroll saw artist. So if you haven't gone to go check her out, go check her out. She is as cool as the other side of the pillow. We also want to thank Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep who have been supporting us for probably the better part of 2 years now. If you are not getting your hands on Surf Prep abrasives, or at the very least, one of their sanders, what are you doing? Change your life. Make better decisions. Surf Prep is awesome. They take care of us. And if you've got rough wood, they can fix that problem. The only other thing that we need to mention is that Sawdust Talk does now have a Patreon. It's $5 or $10 a month, and it helps keep the lights on, helps us keep our gear up to date, and allows us to make public appearances a little bit easier if we need to buy transportation or tickets. So anything that you can and or able to do to help us keep this show going and get us out on the road, we greatly appreciate you. Oh, so, wait, we got one more to talk about, and I can't believe it skipped my mind also. We need to talk about Makers for St. Jude. Makers for St. Jude is a charity fundraiser that we work with the St. Jude Children's Charity, because childhood cancer sucks, and St. Jude helps families that deal with that stressful situation. Our original goal this year was 10,000. No, we did 11,000 last year. The goal this year was 20,000. We hit that in June. I believe as of about a week ago, we're at 26,000, and our target has moved to 35,000. Last week on the show, we met with Stone from Onefinity, who is running a raffle as we speak for a 34 by 34 CNC controlled router and etching laser. The tickets are cheap. The proceeds go to charity, and you could have a CNC router with a laser in your home. Let's do this. Let's help our viewers and listeners win a badass machine, and let's raise money for an amazing cause. So that's Mike over at Makers for St. Jude to participate, or Woodworker versus Cancer, or St. Jude Children's Charities. Booyah.
So, on to our guests tonight, Luke and Priscilla. And the reason that I asked them to come on tonight was because last year I made my first trip to Maker Camp. And the reason I went to Maker Camp is because I won a ticket from this lovely couple here. I got to hold their baby hold and drop their baby before I had a chance to hold and drop their baby. There is video proof of this. But I am so thrilled that I got to go, because it was like the best event ever. So thank you guys for coming on. Tell us a little bit about you guys.
Go ahead.
We are artists that are based in upstate New York. We met in high school art class and have
It's crazy how it was in 2007. So it's almost been what? I can't do the quick math on that. Whatever many years that we've known each other, but we didn't date that whole time. It wasn't until 2011 that I was home over break and we got together and started dating and started just making stuff. We ended up moving in together in Long Island, on Long Island. Sorry, people from there probably offended by that. The in or on Long Island thing is a hot debate. But anyways, we lived there and started our making journey down there. And our first house we bought had a 2-car garage that we just turned into a shop. And we had to make stuff for the house, and kind of the same story. You hear a lot of people that take on woodworking as a hobby, same reasons. And then it wasn't until 2019, the week before we got married, she got me tickets to go up to Jimmy DeResta's house for a woodworking class that was taught there by Tracy and Katrina Bastion Head. Is Tracy's Instagram, and Katrina Nellis is hers. If you've been to Maker Camp, I'm sure you've seen them or met them. 2 awesome people. But that class at Jimmy's was where I met them first. But I also met Brett McAfee, Jimmy's shop assistant. And he is a blacksmith, does amazing metalwork. And when I went to Jimmy's class, he has all his anvils around, and I literally had never seen one in person before. And talking with Brett, he offered to give me a little demo class the night after we were all done with the woodworking stuff. So from there, that's where I got into metal. I thought it was so awesome, hitting hot red metal with a hammer and putting it into a shape you have in your mind.
and you never looked back.
Well, yeah, it wasn't until but that's when I got into it at first. And as I'm sitting here, I'm resting my feet on a present from Scylla. It was an anvil. So she surprised me with tickets to Maker Camp, and while there, surprised me with purchasing an anvil for us to bring home and use. So that was the very first Maker Camp ever in 2019. It was very small, but we got to meet a lot of awesome people and fell in love with the whole idea of the event. So that was kind of a quick rundown into our getting into the maker community story. And then from there, what Jessie was talking about, how she won a ticket, was through an event called May for Makers, which Scylla came up with. You want to explain about that a little bit?
Sure. Just about around the same time of COVID, we actually launched our business, PL Smith. We're like, let's do this, because he was doing the woodworking and I have my painting business on the side, and we were like, let's put it together.
Yeah.
Awesome plans for all of these in-person classes, and bam, COVID hit. We're like, what are we? What are we gonna do here? And then we just also we created this Instagram account and just kind of like most people, kind of finding our way online ever since, and what helps is having those in-person connections and friendships that you make, like we are able to today. But back then, we came up with Made for Makers to bring people some motivation and positivity during COVID, where everyone was locked down. So it's typical to your average 30-day challenge where you have a prompt, but it's making and creative related. So we put it out there to see if people wanted to do it, and they loved it so much that we brought it back each year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 4 years.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, 2020.
We can do
2020
math. So 4 years.
The first one. Yeah.
4.
It's 5. It's 4 years, but there's been 5 May for Makers things. This year was the 5th. And yeah, so when we saw that people were into this idea and all for it, we started talking to some different brands that we had relationships with, and then ones that friends put us in touch with and said, hey, this is what we have going on. If you guys want to join in to sponsor something.
We wanted to give back to people that have helped us along our journey.
Yeah. And that we're would come back year for the 3rd and 4th and now 5th year and still post. Maybe some people will be like, I did it already, I don't need to do it again. But there's still people that really, we hear from a lot of people that they look forward to the month and they meet a lot of cool new people. It's just,
someone described it as like a virtual like hangout for the month that everybody kind of like looks forward to and knows what everyone's going to be doing those days. So like, can you imagine if like it's like Maker Camp, but like online, like what are they doing in their tent? But it's like all their little things and everyone has a prompt. So it's like, cool. I don't know. The way someone described that to me once.
Yeah.
Was it you?
I don't know. But yeah, from that, like we had a relationship with Austin for Maker Camp, and we said, hey, can we do a giveaway of any tickets? And so honestly, from year one, he's been donating Silver Pass for a winner during May for Makers. So Jesse was the recipient for the 2023 pass.
I was. And we have one to give away tonight, which I just thought it was suiting for you guys to be here for that. So I personally love Made for Makers. And I do love also not just the encouragement and having like people to kind of play off of to kind of motivate you to post content, but also the side of it that's like, you know, here's a schedule. You don't have to do every single day. Do what you can, do what feels right, but it's not complicated, it's not hard, it's not over the top, and you just contribute as much as you can, and it's just it is fun. It's fun to post along with other people.
Thank you.
So
I love the feedback.
Because it's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, because
we barely could.
There were days where I was just so in the dark, being pregnant and then newborn, like both of the past 2 years, my brain was sucked to the power. So I was like, Luke, like I don't think I can do it.
Came out so strong on year one, we couldn't let it down. Then year two, you were pregnant. So.
So I was, you know, I really appreciate the positive feedback because I was like looking at him like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't. And then it comes down to it, and he's like looking at me. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it.
I'm not letting you.
But I can't move from the computer.
I know TJ, you had a couple questions or insights about metal.
Oh yeah, I was hoping that we'd get a chance to chat a little bit about metalwork stuff, just because I geek out about this. First of all, I see you use a handful of different welding processes, in all throughout your page. Is there one that you feel like you grab first for any reason, or is there one that you don't do very often because you're not into it or just lack gear? I mean, like, let's talk a little bit about your welding journey, just because we don't get metalworkers on here very often. So
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, so it really starts with Scylla and the anvil. And when she brought that home, it was like, okay, now we got to get a forge. And so we got that on eBay and started just getting tools here and there. And at so blacksmithing was the first like introduction to metalworking at all. Like it wasn't.
I just want to pause you right there, just because in college, I took metalwork 2 ways, one in sculpture and one with strictly jewelry and metalsmithing. So I didn't come from.
No, I was saying
nowhere. I was like, we didn't come from nowhere. I mean,
yeah, she has a good background.
Well, because my brain, like in answering his question, like when you brought up the tool, I was like, okay, I'm thinking.
Okay.
What would I? And then, sorry.
Basically. No, it's okay. I secretly want one of those itty bitty jeweler's torches that runs off of like a MAP gas can. And
it's funny you say that.
I don't know, I want one of them little guys, because in my mind it can still get almost as hot, but it's not, you know, forging or anything like that. But every once in a while you get yourself in a scenario where a neighbor needs something fixed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that something ends up being made out of aluminum, right? And you're like, okay, shit, so now I got to get the MAP gas out and my little Harbor Freight Aluma rods or whatever it is to just sort of like make it happen. But
a part of our welding metalworking journal actually has to do with that neighbor. We moved in this nice place as long the time that we found, you know, our interest, and he was like, hey, can I leave my welder at your place?
So
long story short,
he became a good friend of ours across the street, and he didn't have a garage, but he was a tradesman. He did stonework, like countertops and bathrooms, stuff like that. And he had a welder. You know, I was forging, and I was like, man, it would be really nice if I could make my own jigs and fixtures, and you got to weld stuff together for that. And yeah, so we became friends by that point. He said, I have a welder, I can bring it over if I can keep it there, if that's cool with you. I was like, by all means, if I can use it. So that brought a welder into it, and it was just from there, just self-taught, just working on different projects, whether it was to be more of an artistic sculptural thing or actual fabricated, needing nice looking welds. We had that ability.
What was the first welder that you used or learned to use?
So the first welder that I learned to use was from Chris Zapp. It was a Lincoln. It was at his shop because he lived about 45 minutes from where we were. And I had a project. It was actually the device I have right here, making a stand for it. And at that point, I had met him up at Jimmy's class. Actually, when I went up there, it was the first time I met him in person, and we were talking. He said to come by the shop sometime, and I said, hey, could I come by and weld up this project? So I went there, and he taught me how to weld with his Lincoln. So that was the first time. And then
Didn't you learn at Maker Camp?
no, you did that. You were welding with Richard Day.
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, Maker Camp had like a welding class that you could take there, and she did that, and I don't know.
Thought you
I don't know
did
why
it
I
too.
didn't. No, I didn't. But yeah, it was a huge game changer to be able to weld the material together when it came to blacksmithing. And so, like I mentioned before, after getting the anvil, the next thing would be a forge. And I got a small propane one off of eBay. At that point, Amazon didn't even have any forges. Now you can get really good ones from Amazon. Yeah, I got it off of eBay. And whenever you heat up steel in a propane forge versus, say, a coal forge, I'm not going to get too technical into that, but a propane forge will heat up the entire piece of metal. So whatever you put in there, the whole thing's getting red hot and it's going to bend. If you want to move just a small part on that, you need a really, really confined heat there. The workaround with a propane forge is to use water and dip it in strategic ways. But oxyacetylene torch was like the answer for that. That's how you're going to get heat in a small centralized location and also have a bunch of other capabilities with a tool like that. So for a long time, I was looking around on Facebook Marketplace to try and find one. Eventually did. And when it came time to go get the cylinders for it filled, I brought it to the local welding supplier by us at the point. And they were like, the hoses, you're probably going to want to replace these. You're going to want to replace it. Like basically the only good thing out of the deal that I got was the 2 cylinders. All the rest of the rig was not that great. So they pushed me towards purchasing a Harris kit from there. So I brought that home, and we started just making our projects and using the Harris torch and that different processes. And from like meeting Chris Zapp and like starting to like see this like maker community, and also like basically social media marketing side of in the maker world, like, companies will sponsor you with tools, whatever, stuff like that. I would just always tag whatever tools I went and bought the, manufacturer. And so at one point, Harris reached out to us and said, hey, we like the video you guys are making. Can we send you some stuff to use in the videos? And I'd never heard that before or gotten that before. And I was like, oh my God, this could be really cool. So it did. And then it went nowhere. Like for probably, it was a while. We just thought, all right, maybe they've moved on or forgot about us. So fast forward like 6 or 7 months, a new director came and took over the position that was running the Instagram and got us a meeting and signed a contract with Lincoln Electric and Harris. So that brought another welder into the shop and expanded just the capabilities of what we could do even more. So all of that long story, I know I can talk a lot. If you guys have ever heard a podcast with me on it, you may know. Apologies. If you're here, sticking around, I appreciate it.
If you're waiting to see if you won the giveaway,
I'm going to make you wait.
It's coming.
To answer the question, the process of welding that I actually like prefer and will go to is if I'm, depending on the project I have at hand, really. But when it's coming to forging, it's the oxyacetylene torch and probably MIG welding if I have to do something quick together there. lately I've been working on a project where I'm welding chain links together and making the shaft of a putter.
Golf clubs, putters.
I'm a big golfer too. And that I'll use TIG welding. And a lot of people, if you see welded chain art, people will just MIG weld it because it's easier and it goes faster.
That's
But when it was going to be something that's like so tactile and close up to you, I wanted the welds to be as blended in as possible, and TIG is the best way to get that. Nice.
And he practiced so hard day in, day out, and like I am surprised he didn't say that first to answer your question. And mine is MIG, because I gotta be quick, in, out, go. I got all ready the other day at the bench. They both woke up. Had to be able to.
They both woke up.
She's like literally putting her hood down, and I was like, they both woke up.
I'm like, okay. So yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys MIG or TIG, but you just answered that question. I also will say, because you brought up the putters, that I'm playing in a golf tournament on Friday, and I don't actually have a putter, so I have to borrow one from my mom. And I'm gonna throw that out there because I want a putter.
I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Oh, I love it though. Those are super.
So one of the aspects of metalworking also that I feel like kind of gets left out of the discussions, because like the fusion of metal is always like super rad. You're literally harnessing the power essentially of the sun. You are doing electroplasma metal deposition, right? Totally awesome, right? The fourth state of matter, and it's one of like the 7 or 8 instances on planet Earth that like we get to manipulate it, right? Totally cool. But the part of the conversation that I feel like it's left out is the grinding and the cutting and the processing and the getting the pieces and the fab work leading up to it, right? Because you guys are working on a forge and an anvil. I mean, you guys have tons of capacity to manipulate metal in that regard, but like tubing benders and mandrels and band saws and portabands, like is there like a cabinet hidden in your garage somewhere that is just chock-a-block full of metal fab and manipulation bits?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm using. That's what I get to work with.
Yeah.
I'm using it for well, I don't know if I would talk about the project, but I guess like the work that goes into it, painful. Prep, cleaning, my personal, like I'm saying this because I'm working on a project of translating, basically recreating one of my paintings with metal. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's cool because I'm trying to do it exactly how I do with paint, like other mediums, and try and see how I can mimic that in a sculpture, but also like in the process, like of my mind and how I would do that. So as I got like 70% of the way there, and then I was like, okay, I got this. I'll do my pieces like this. And then I'm just, and it's for anyone listening right now, it's very rare for me to get out in the shop right now with the 2 tiny babies. So when I did, I was like, okay, I'm working on it, got all my pieces ready. And then I'm just there. I'm like, my neck is starting to hurt. I'm like, Luke, like I forgot, like the grinding, the prepping, the shape, like everything. Cause all I want to do is put it together. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to get in that part. And like, my work is abstract as it is. Like, but still, it's like everything has to be just right, especially if you're TIG welding.
Yeah. You have to have everything clean.
Yeah. Do you have like dreams where you can still smell acetone, or like you look down at your hands and there's mill scale all over them? Or
it's not even a dream. It's like, why is that track through the house? And I see when the baby's about to pick it up, or like these metal shavings in our laundry.
Wire wheels.
So bad.
Oh my God. Wire wheels and babies. That's crazy.
Like I pulled one out of Lily's foot one time. It was in her sock. And I was like, oh.
Because this door behind us, if you can see, if you're not on the only audio format, that goes right into our house. And so it's like make sure I take my shoes off out here before I walk in there, and it's a pain in the ass to untie your boots when you're like just need one step in there. But we have a bunch of different tools here for getting things into shape, and we're still working on this shop garage right now. Like it's all like storage stuff in the center. One wall has just kind of been made for having metal stuff and like in the front up here. So
That's like every workshop, though. I mean, every workshop's like a work in progress, right? I mean, you always want more things. You want to be more organized, have more space, reorganize things, and that's just how it goes. So
yeah, I just want to get rid of the pop-up tables. Those aren't the fun ones.
I just want mine to be insulated.
Yeah, we're working on a studio for her.
Oh yeah, the shed
Upstate is real snow. Like I've only got Midwest snow here.
Yeah.
And Jesse has snow, right? Sorta.
like maybe once a year.
Oh yeah, no, upstate that's real snow.
Oh yeah, I mean it gets cold too.
Yeah, but we got it last year.
It's a tough shed that we got for her.
So yeah, but we were just trying to like aim toward getting it like put together. So basically, so I could work out in it.
Yeah, it's just a blank tough shed that we're gonna be. I already ran the electric in it and everything like that. We got to do installation drywall. We're gonna make it so it is like somewhat usable in the winter and definitely summer. So possibly down the road do like a mini split unit. Mr. Cool probably leaning towards. I want to see if we can maybe talk to them and see if there's any content we can make for them.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Cool in the chat. Whoever's listening, we'll get him in here and get him. We're
recording the whole process to make us, and we want to do one in here. But anyways, that's what we have going on right now. A lot of working on that and making some putters because I was so blown away how many people like said that they wanted one of those things. I made it for fun and just posted it. And yeah, if you want one, we can talk.
Okay, we'll talk.
It's crazy. And there's a couple really cool people that has turned out that we're going to be making them for, which we're really excited for.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to take off. So you just kind of got to roll with the punches.
I know, it's wild.
Yeah. That brings me to sort of another fun question because you guys are both full-timers, right? Like this is
no. I'm a full-time engineer. I work as a civil engineer in transportation side of things.
And I'm a full-time mom. So yes, we're both full-timers.
Oh, right on. Okay. I was going to be like, look, you guys have an amazing breadth of work. Your portfolio is incredible. And I can gush about this to you guys, but you're going to start blushing. But I was wondering how the prospecting of new clients process goes. And like, I think that the content that you guys are producing probably drives work through the door.
Honestly, I mean, it never really seems to have. I mean, when we come out with something and then we say offer for sale, like it's never been like we can't keep up with the demand of it. It's more like, I have ones left over. I try to do little runs of things that we, she was making paintbrushes for a while with doing woodworking stuff.
Even when we went to Maker Camp, we brought like hooks and wine stoppers, like tons of different things that people like more affordable, if you think that. So what's something we can put on the table and have for sale? It's like not custom one-off on our website. And it just did not do well. And it took us a while because like I said earlier, we were still navigating our page because a business was what we set out for, not an influencer route. And so it took us a while to kind of learn that, okay, your followers or like your target audience are not your friends. They're not even people in the maker community, right? If you think, like your friends aren't going to always buy your stuff. So I think we got like lost in like, okay, trying to still figure that out because you're the exception, Jesse. Just because someone likes your work, I'm just giving like an example of like, sometimes they won't always go for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's not a matter of like going for it or not. It's like, a maker mindset, I can make that, So if you're not trying to sell to the people that can make it themselves, you're trying to sell to the people that are like, oh, show everyone and then at the office and they all want one too. So that like, when I made this putter, I wasn't even thinking of making it as a product. I just wanted to see what it would be like. I hadn't seen it done before, and I thought I've seen chain welded, but never in that application before. And I thought it might look unique. And I love golf. I've played golf my whole life, and it just did really well as far as it's like our first reel that ever broke 1 million views. And from
That's
that, it just
cool.
a lot of people started messaging and asking, and it's like that right there too is like an affirmation of like, okay, we're really not marketing it to who we always thought our niche was. Like when we tried to figure out our page and do your niche and whatever, we were gearing it towards very similar people to us in the maker community in a way, people that like to watch process videos of how things are made. I mean, I feel like obviously there's a wide range of people that like to watch those, but it more so like our reach seemed like it was kind of within that limited sphere of the people we knew. It was never like our content never got blown up and pushed out to all these new people.
So yeah, the money doesn't come through,
Yeah.
or super like.
It's our fault too, because
I'm glad it looks like that. I put a lot of work in editing the cover photos.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
I was gonna say it's like I hold us back in a way, I'd say, in terms of like wanting to come up with a product or something that is like a mainstream thing that people would sell. And I feel like that's more like the artist in me a little bit of like wanting to have it be my work. And it's not like just cheap stuff that you can buy at Home Goods, so I've never really like, when it comes to like marketing our products to sell, like I don't push that so hard. So it's not like giving us that experience of here's products that we make and you guys buy. So we're still learning that.
And what's the cool thing that we learned is that it works when it works. You gotta sell the sale. So back before I was pregnant with Lily, I did the same thing with about prints of some of my paintings. And I got the swing of it, got the hang of it, and it always felt so good, right? I got these coming out. It's going to be released at this time, and everyone like watching and following to see what's coming out, and then how many do I have and how many for sale. And so many times I'm like, I got it down. How do we translate it to PL Smith? Like that was always so difficult for some reason. I'm like, well, what is the product, right? Like, and then we teeter like, do we want to be like that? No, we don't really want to sell. Like what? Like that type of like, it's not, how do you know who your target audience when you don't even know what you want to make yet? So I feel like this weird pressure we're putting on ourselves because we just started our business and it all became digital all at the same time. Like it was like, I don't know.
I was going to say too, I kind of forgot for a minute, but when it comes to like people like that want to do this type of stuff full time and like, they may hear what we're saying and that scares them away from doing that. You're never going to know unless you try it. And Syl and I talk about that all the time. Like if you have to make it work because you need to put food on the table that month, you have to do what it takes to make it work. And we've never taken that leap of like, all right, let's try to make this be full time, because I'm more reluctant about giving up on the security that I have at this moment. And also it's like, that gives me the ability to go mess around and do something like this chain putter experiment. And then who knows? So
You
my
guys,
whole point of saying that, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
It was just that for people listening, don't be afraid to jump in if that's what you're willing to do.
Absolutely. I think you guys are in like a very unique, not unique, I should say, situation. I mean, there's a ton of people. It's like you guys have 2 little ones at home.
Mm-hmm.
Stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. You have a full-time job. You're trying to do all this stuff in the shop. You guys both have your own passions. I mean, you can only do what you can do. And I never want to see you guys burn out either. And that's like the line you have to kind of play on is we enjoy this, we want to do this, we want to push for this, but if you push too hard, are you still going to want to do it? Yeah, and you don't want to pass that line because then it's not fun anymore. So, but you also have a family, so you want to, you got to take time for that too. So. Yep,
for sure. And that's like the whole point. Like where I don't know. I would be afraid to take the risk right now with having 2 young kids. It's something I want to be able to go and bring them on trips and do stuff like that. And
I think we're doing a fabulous job.
I appreciate that.
I think you are too. I adore you guys. You guys are wonderful.
So, fairly high up on your Instagram page, we've got footage of a painting knife getting made with a custom wood handle.
Mm-hmm.
Was that something that you were like, well, I've got the skills, I've got the tools, I'm going to do this? But I believe the story says it was a commission.
Yeah, that particular set was. Yeah, see, there's an example of a product we sell that you wouldn't know. Sorry, go on.
No, was it you were already doing them because you wanted them for you, or how did you stumble into this? Because I mean, tool making and metalsmithing are obviously like right there.
It's exactly what you described. I was like, well, you know, we had all this free time, sort of. I was still pregnant. I was 38 weeks pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
but no, I had something, and I wanted to make it. You know, I'm like, he's making a knife. He's doing this, right? Because at this point, when I started making them, not when I was pregnant, and maybe that's the video you saw. I'm not sure, but that is when we had a lot of time on our hands and we're experimenting with different things. So I was like, oh, if I wouldn't want to make a knife, what could I use? So I made myself a palette knife.
I mean,
and then I got. So I was making them.
It traces back to literally when we got the anvil. If you can't think about it, the first thing you wanted to make was a spoon, and then she wanted to make a whole cutlery set. And then when it got to, she's like, "Oh, knife! I have a palette knife. I'm gonna make these palette knives."
I'm gonna answer your question, which was how did I arrive to that? Yes, I was making them. They are awesome. They are for sale. But no, by watching that reel, you would have been like, what the heck is that? In a good way?
Yeah, no, I kind of figured out what it was. I really liked the handle. You guys had it could have been walnut, but it had some pretty defined grain on it. It was a little semi-exotic handle.
I think it's zebra wood.
So
yeah.
Was it?
I think that's what he's looking at. This was like one of the first ones.
Nope, that was Japanese maple from our yard.
Okay, you are correct.
But that was when we that was inspired by our first time at Maker Camp, where we learned with our friend that's when we first used the lathe.
Oh, so Kevin Zah?
No.
Pat Lab?
Nick Bodner.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So that's
Tech Ed Fireman.
Yes. So when leaving Maker Camp, we not only came home with an anvil, but we're like, let's find a random lathe on Facebook Marketplace. And this will be turning pens. And he had a pen era.
I did. I didn't want to try everything. I forgot about that.
Making pens is as much fun as you can have, man.
There is another testament to Maker Camp right there, why it's the greatest event ever. It literally, that's the first time I ever turned up anything on a lathe. And yes, I thought, let's get one. And then I opened the door to that.
And so I was like, a really cool handle for a palette knife. Like, let's forge it, play with the torch. Let's turn the thing on the lathe, kind of like using all this new found knowledge. And
that's how P.L. Smith was born.
The lathe.
Yeah, no joke. This is like, she was doing her own thing, like having fun making that and recording it for content on her page, which she tries to more curate towards like painting and art that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then it got to the point where we're like, all right, well, we're out here doing this project together. Let's keep doing projects together, make a new Instagram name.
And all my metal projects end up being art and painting related. So there was like a palette.
Yeah.
I don't know if you dug that deep.
Yeah.
I don't think I made it quite that far, but I could see all of the painting and all of that jazz. And you can go to Amazon and have art supplies like that dropped on your doorstep. I mean, I don't know if you guys have a warehouse that close in upstate to get same day, but like
not same day. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Next day. 2 day.
Yeah, so we've got 2 depots, one across the river in Illinois and one on the south side of St. Louis. So like we've got same day stuff if it's in stock
really cool.
here in St. Louis, which is bizarre, right? So you wake up, you eat breakfast, and you're like, you know what?
I needed that.
I need this soap. And then it's just like there.
Does it get delivered by a drone?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, or a robot car.
Well, we've got electric Amazon cars in St. Louis, and so
Yes.
the kids all love pointing out the difference between the electric trucks and
Oh,
the gas trucks because they look like Baymax. Like they've got the big LED hoop headlights. They're not quite like the Rivian, which does look like Baymax from the Big Hero 6, but like, yeah. So the boys get excited when they look out the window and they see that stuff. But like, it's so refreshing. Sorry, back to my original point. It's so refreshing to see people making tools, right? And being that hands-on from the ground up. That's one of the things about woodworking, especially on the lathe, that I love, because I had trees taken down this week, and they will be bowls that will be in the hands of people probably by like the 15th of this month, right?
That's awesome.
And it goes from tree to bits to bowls. Like,
Yeah.
like you're a part of the whole process, right?
That is cool. Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, I think that's an awesome aspect and a way to connect yourself even more on a deeper level to the work that you're performing. Like, there's lots of shapes for palette knives, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
But when you're the one making the palette knife, that also means that you can make a palette knife that does things that other people can't. And you get that organic level of control to your work. I think it's so cool. You guys are
You
badass.
can make a really cool textured one
Thank you.
that like do cool things, like where the edge is not straight, it leaves like scrapes.
I know. I always
If you
think
paint it with thick oil all the time, which is
that
not
would be
cheap.
cool. Or just ridiculously large palette knives. Like people are like, "What do you make?" Like, yeah, it's a palette knife.
It's a machete.
It looks like no, it's kind of cool. People make small things big all the
I
time.
know.
I am bringing my daughter to Maker Camp, and she wants to play with hot metal, and
Awesome.
she's done some welding. She has plasma experience, like she's in wood shop, obviously, but
Mhm.
we're gonna try and hang out in the forging tent for.
Yeah.
I saw the video of her welding.
Two things on that. At Maker Camp this year, for the first time, they're doing like a kids schedule, so stuff specifically for kids, which is great. If you look on their page, they have like the times and what activities they are. But Maker Camp, I mean, as many of you have heard of Maker Camp, know that it's a hands-on thing, and they do a great job with giving forging demos. There's a few guys up there that are friends of ours that are awesome blacksmiths and know what they're doing, and do a great job helping somebody that's never even held a hammer before. So definitely bring her up there to check that out. And I don't know when on the schedule they have that's happening, but there's open forges every night. So lots of opportunities.
It's so cool. On that note, though, speaking of Maker Camp, I think we should do a giveaway.
Yes, do a giveaway.
Good.
So, this is how this is going to work. We have a list of entries, and I am going to make you guys pick a number 1 to 100.
I'm gonna pick it.
Do you need to like?
Here, tell me when.
When?
70. And
Okay,
the way I did that was I pushed up on a dial indicator, and whatever number it stopped
Love it.
at.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so
And that's a lot of numbers and very sensitive because they measure to the thousandth of an inch.
So Rose City Vintage Workshop,
Woo!
Awesome.
Woo woo.
Congratulations.
and I'm gonna see if she's watching right now. I think she is. Let's see.
Instagram chat going crazy.
She's gonna.
Have there been questions?
See, okay, so let's just say if for some reason she can't make it,
Mm-hmm.
let's do Do we want to do a runner-up, just in case?
Do you want me to push a number?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tell me when.
Stop.
When?
That one is
I was
on.
90, yeah, or 90 to
Yeah,
88.
that was on 90. It was between 0 and 80.
Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna say this one then, because it looks like Rose City Vintage Workshop is. I can't believe it! So excited.
Okay.
Okay,
Yay!
so I'll keep the runner up in the bag. If it doesn't work out for her to come, then we will go from there.
Okay.
But I
Awesome.
do have the runner up. It's right here.
Okay.
So cool. TJ,
Congratulations.
yay! I know, I'm so excited to see everybody.
You will have an amazing time, and come find us all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to meet you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna bug the mess out of you guys in person. But I think sort of I've got one more show question, and then I'm actually going to give you a little primer on our final question of the night, which is start thinking of maybe an inspirational idea or quote to share with the audience. That's going to be a little later. We didn't go over that in the pre-show, and that's my fault. But I didn't want to blindside you with that one, especially with the both of you there. So, but I guess sort of my final question is, how do you find the time?
You
Right.
don't sleep.
Well, it's midnight here. And
I still have a lot of time to go.
no, all jokes aside, I always say you have 24 hours in a day, just like Beyonce. And there's no, like, you just got to you have to find the time. And you have to, I think you value things so much more when you realize that you have to choose. I'm just saying, like, for anyone that doesn't have kids, maybe. Like, my sister asked me the other day, and I was like, she was asking, like, how to describe it or what really changes. And I'm like, well, let me just tell you, imagine, like, how long or how slow you make your breakfast. Do you stir your coffee? Like, slow things like that? No. Out the window. Make your breakfast. Lucky if you eat, if you are standing, sitting. But with those things come into play is I decide, it's important to me that I get to make or paint or be creative, and Luke as well. So we sit down yearly and monthly and weekly, sometimes weeks go off, checking each day that we do each thing. Wednesday is quality night time, so we have to reschedule because we're meeting with you. No, seriously.
This
Mondays,
is quality.
Fridays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, like they alternate. We've gotten down to the point. So today we re-checked the replays and we're like, okay, we need to start alternating mornings also. Who's getting up? Who's making breakfast? Like maybe I am more a little anal about how things are ran, and so the ship can just go really smoothly so that we can have all the time to do all the things.
It's so funny. She got that shirt, and our 2.5-year-old, she'll go up there, she'll go, CEO. Just start
For
laughing
anyone
because she knows.
listening, I gifted myself a sweatshirt off Etsy. The shop owner had it say radiology. And I was like, oh, that's so cute, but I'm not in radiology. I'm like, I messaged her. I'm like, can you please customize something and for me that says CEO? So guys, I'm wearing just like, it's like tiny, cute little text. Like you'd think it's like in another merch store or whatever, simple radiology. No. So it says CEO and it's my uniform. I wear it whenever, and I got it. I gifted it to myself so that kind of put a little bit more pep in my step. Like on those days that I'm like not eating or eating standing up or having to make my breakfast really fast. So I can look in the mirror or walk by and be like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, have that mindset of a CEO. It's based on another book that I'm reading while I do the laundry and vacuum. And it says, hold the temperament of a CEO, because CEOs are, composed, have a sense of humor. Like, really think about that when dealing with your toddler. Can you be CEO? I am CEO. So I go up to Lily and I go, Lily, say mama is, and she goes, CEO. I'm like, that's right.
It's so cute.
That's my girl. She knows. I think her dad knows too, though.
I do.
I don't know. I think that when any of us feels like we don't have time to do anything, the other one is pushing the other to like find the time or feel hopeful. Like, yes, you will get up to the studio, Zilla. Like, no, I don't have time. But then we're both always telling each other, like, yes, we do. And if we feel like we don't, we have to give up something else or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, and that's the thing about like life and balance is that I don't think anybody can ever figure it out fully. Like, you're never gonna have everything perfectly in balance, and that's why you check in and you have, you know, conversations and talks about it and reevaluate and check in with each other. And this is not a marriage counseling session or I'm gonna stop talking.
Bill me later, or Bill later.
Oh man.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
We got to take one more lap through sponsors, and then we're going to get to the final question. Real quick, going to shout out Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep. Look, life's rough, but if you want to smooth things out in your workshop as a fresh step in the right direction, you should be talking to the team over at Surf Prep. Their sanders and abrasives are top notch, and if you're not using them, shame on you. No, we love you, Hannah. Thank you for letting us make up ads and mottos for Surf Prep because you deserve it.
And use code Sawdust Talk for 10% off.
Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
The other one is you guys need to reach out to Mike over at Woodworker versus Cancer and the Makers for St. Jude project. The Spring Challenge is up and live. Think we're at something like $4,000 or something like that worth of prizes for people who are participating in doing this fundraising. And you can fundraise with dang near anything. And the process is so simple. Even I was able to do it for my mom. So do it. Be a part of something rad. Help families that are going through one of the crappiest things that you can go through as a family. Be awesome. St. Jude.
Join our Patreon.
Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, check out our Patreon. Every little bit helps. There should be some kind of special Patreon provider rewards, and I don't know if that's just going to be love letters or bits and bobs from me and Jesse, but we'll figure it out, and it'll be worth your while. But getting us out, getting us to conventions, getting us to fairs, or just getting us a cup of coffee are all things that can make our lives a little bit easier, and our Patreon is cheap. It is not an OnlyFans, it is a Patreon. So I hate to destroy the hopes and dreams of so many people in one sentence, but you know, there's always next month, I suppose. So that brings us to our final question for the night, guys. Every week I ask our guests to come up with a motivational thought or a quote or a reason to get out of bed or kick your workshop door open when you don't feel like it, or try something that you're afraid of, or pick up a tool or get awesome. You guys can either share an answer, you can defer to one another, or you can both each provide one because we've got nothing but time, but I do want you guys to get some sleep tonight.
Okay, I got mine. It came to me while you were talking, and
good listening.
I was listening because I was like, first your question was think of the quote for later, and then you said, what do you do with time? So then I thought of this quote about time, and then I changed my mind, so I'm giving you a different one. In all honesty. So I've been listening to my recommended music from Apple. It just understands me so much. I really love it. I don't understand why, but I just
get kids
love
music.
it. Anyways, it came up with this song, and the lyrics are, so I heard this like a couple days ago, and I've been thinking about it, stuck with me. There's one lyric, one line, and it says, we don't get to choose when we win or lose. Life just comes at you. And I liked that because I kind of felt like that's thanks whoever artist for understanding me, right? Like you don't really get to choose when you win or lose, right? We were just talking about that earlier. Like you never know. And I just like that a lot. And the song is called What Is Life by San Holo. He has like other music that I like, but he hasn't come out with anything new in a while. So when it came up on Apple Music, I was like, I like this song. It's cool. So that's something like we don't get to choose when you win or lose. Life just comes at you.
And I'd like to quote the great Post Malone. I had some help because I can't do this without any help. And don't be afraid to get help.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
All this mess by yourself.
What?
Bottle off the shelf?
Yeah.
No, we like that song.
No, I was just actually joking. Her quote was kind of really good for both of us.
I think it's awesome.
Love it.
I think it's awesome. I think you guys are awesome. And I appreciate you guys' time so much. I know it's so late. And I appreciate that you stayed up late.
We appreciate you guys having
for us. And I'm so excited to see you guys in 5 short weeks?
It's crazy. October 6th is her birthday, so
ooh,
keep that in mind. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna know how to hug you, Scylla, when I see you, because
you don't have a belly.
Oh my god!
Yeah, because we met at Workbench Con.
A full wraparound hug.
Wait, yeah, we met at Workbench Con, and she was not pregnant there yet. So.
This is true. I know.
That's so funny. A few months later, I'm like dry gas.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I loved it every moment. Anyways, thank you guys to our viewers. This is episode 132 with Luke and Priscilla of PL Smith. And TJ, take us out.
All right. We will see you all next week. Give or take, same bad time. Definitely same bad channel.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.